Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. It's T Ultra here. Thanks for dropping by. And today we are going to look at the new Spotlight Sim series that 2K just dropped. So in order to find it, you're just going to go to your collection over there, go to rewards, and then on the right and on the very bottom right here, you'll see it says Spotlight Sim, and you'll see there's all these new cards in the game. There's an East and a West set, and then when you finish each set, you get a pink diamond. So all of these cards in the set are all diamonds, I believe, and then once you complete it, you get a pink diamond. When you complete the East, you get a Pascal Siakam, and then you get a Brandon Ingram for completing the West. And then here's the big news. When you finish it all, you get this Galaxy Opal James Harden. So it's basically a free Galaxy Opal, which is pretty nice. I mean, you might have to spend money to pick up a couple cards, but that's what we're going to get into next right here. So in order to attain these diamond cards, you go to challenges, go over to Spotlight, and you go all the way to the right, and you see 2K just added all these new challenges. There are 30 of them, one for each NBA team, and in each set, there's only 5 challenges you have to complete, and then you get a diamond card. You can see them all right there. I won't go over all of them. You can just look in the set to see all the cards, but I've done a couple of the Miami Heat ones because I heard this Duncan Robinson is pretty decent, and I started with this 76ers one just because it was the first one. So basically how it works is there's 5 challenges. You click on one and then it shows you how many players from that team you need. So this is the 76ers set, so you need 3 players from the 76ers. As you go along, you do need more and more players, and I'm pretty sure by the end you need 10. I'm not sure if it's the same for every single team, but I think it's 10. Maybe it's the whole lineup for some of them, who knows. But also as you go along, the difficulty also increases. It eventually gets up to Hall of Fame, but I'm going to show you guys how you can beat all of these very easily and very quickly. Before we do that, we're also going to look at the Heat set here. So for this one, I needed 4 players, and there's also sometimes a little condition that you have to meet, so I had to get 10 team assists, which is very easy. This one, you just have to win the game. So I don't know if there's any of these like conditions that are really difficult, like 10 assists as a team. That's very, very easy. And the method I'm going to show you shows you how to get assists as well. But they shouldn't be too hard. The real struggle is going to be taking the time to do all of these. There are 30 of these little sets of challenges, and there's 5 in each of them. So that's 150. So that's going to take a while, but if you want to grind it out, I would highly recommend it. I mean, we're all quarantined anyways, so you might as well. So before we actually get into a game, I'm going to show you what you need to take care of before you even start. So what you're going to do is you're going to notice how many players from each team you need. That's going to be the first thing you take care of. So it says you need 5 players from the Heat. So I made this little Spotlight Sim lineup. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players from the Miami Heat in my lineup. Now, what I like to do, if I can, is stick those players at the end of my bench if they're like silvers or bronzes, because that way, you know, I have all these other cards in my lineup that I would rather use. So like these lineups, or these players right here, they have unlimited contracts. Chamberlain has an unlimited contract. Devontae Graham has an unlimited contract, and so does Joe Dumars. So I like to have those guys in my lineup at all times if possible. Once you get, you know, to the point where you need to have 10 players from a certain team in your lineup, you won't be able, I mean, obviously I can't have Lynn, Kidd, Chamberlain, and these 2 in my lineup once I need 10 players from the same team. But until I get to that point, I want to keep these guys in my lineup because I will not have to pay contracts to, you know, have them in my team. It's basically just a free roster spot that I'm taking up. And then same with these Miami Heat players at the end of the bench. I'm not going to use these players anyways, so I might as well, you know, use these pretty much useless players, stick them on my bench, and then once they run out of contracts, who cares? I won't have to replace them any again. So basically the theme here is I want to use as few contracts as possible. And then another thing I like to do is I like to use players that I don't normally use, and I also like to have Evo players in my lineup. So as you see, I have this Iguodala and Chamberlain in my lineup. So as I'm doing these challenges, I will be evolving these 2 cards, and you can have even more in there if you would like, especially for the rookie challenges where you only need a couple players from a certain team. You can, let's just say you needed only 2 Miami Heat players. you could stick 2 Heat players at the end of the bench, and then have your whole starting lineup be all Evo players. And then for that rookie challenge, you can just be chucking up threes the whole time, and they'll go in more often than not. And that's a great way to kind of incorporate some Evo cards into this grind. But yeah, as you can see, this is kind of my starting lineup. I use as many unlimited contracts as possible and Evo cards. And then I have this RJ Barrett gold in there. Like, I don't need a pink diamond off the bench because these guys are all going to play most of the game. So I just have this gold player in there because I'm not going to use him for anything else anyways. Once he runs out of contracts, you know, I won't use him again most likely. And even if I do need to use him again, he's a gold, so he won't cost that much to put a new contract on. Same with this Jermaine O'Neal. Like, I've had this card in my collection forever. You know, I've never had the need to use him, but he's a Miami Heat player, so I thought I might as well put him on my bench. And then he's a center / power forward, so he can give Wilt and Kareem a breather if and when they ever need it. And, you know, he's decent enough. Like, he's not great, but going against a computer, you shouldn't need cards that are that amazing. Maybe once you get to the Hall of Fame or superstar level difficulties, you might need to use some cards that are a little higher tiered. But for the most part, you should be able to get away with, at least on the bench, running with some subpar cards just for the sake of, you know, saving MT with contracts. So yeah, the main takeaway is to use players with unlimited contracts when possible. Try to use bronzes and silvers at the end of the bench when possible. And just in general, avoid having to buy contracts or use contracts, like having to apply a contract that you have. Oh, that won't work here. He has unlimited. So like, I don't want to use these if possible. And then for, in my opinion, anything under an amethyst, so ruby or below, just buy the contract if you need to. I know I kind of contradicted what I have been saying. You don't want to spend MT on contracts, but amethysts are 400 MT for 5 contracts. So that's a lot of MT, but rubies and below, I think a ruby is 240. So to me, I would rather just save the contracts for my amethyst and above. But anyways, that's a whole different topic. So just try to save your contracts when possible. And another thing about these diamond contracts is you want to use them when they make sense. I put them on Jeremy Lin and Jason Kidd at the very beginning when I first got them, because I knew I was going to work really hard on evoing them. I was going to play a lot of games with them. But all these other cards, this Devontae Graham, Joe Dumars, and Wilt Chamberlain, I just bought them and they already had a diamond contract on them. So I'm not saying that you should go ahead and put your diamond contracts on your players right now just for the sake of using them for these spotlight sim things. But if you already have them there, or it makes sense to put one on a player for other reasons, that's when I would recommend using them for your advantage when you're doing these spotlight sim series. Another example here for the 76ers one. So I only need to use 4 76ers for my next challenge. So as you see, I have some Evo cards in here. Conveniently, these two are Evo cards and 76ers players. I don't normally use Kyle Korver, but it's just kind of fun to whip out an old card that you haven't used for a while. This Wilt Chamberlain is a 76er and has an unlimited contract, so he's obviously going to be in there. And then I also stuck this silver 76ers card because that counts as a 76er. So I have 4 in my lineup, and then other than that, I have unlimited contract players, players I'm trying to Evo, or players that are cheap and I don't normally use and could just come off the bench. So I have, you know, a couple gold players I might throw in the game if I need to. This Sabonis and RJ Barrett. And then I just have a couple of silver, or I have a silver and a bronze also at the end of my bench that I'm not going to use, but they're cheap. And then once they're out of contracts, you know, I just won't use them anymore. Eventually, you will get to the point where, like I said, you'll need your whole team to pretty much be players from whatever team set you're doing. So this example is the 76ers, assuming you eventually need 10 of them. I have this Jeremy Lin because he has an unlimited contract. Same with this Jason Kidd. And then all the rest are 76ers. I also made sure to keep Wilt in there because he does have an unlimited contract and he's really good. So, and then I also have this Kareem in there too because I want to Evo him. So I just kept with the same thing. I have Evo cards in there. I have as many cheap cards as possible. And I have some decent cards off the bench that will only play a little bit, but I normally don't get to use them, so it's just kind of fun to use them. I actually don't have that many bronzes and silvers that have contracts remaining for the 76ers. So what I did was I just threw this gold in there and this emerald. Ideally, you'd want to use bronzes and silvers, but I would rather just put these cards in there rather than pay for a contract to put a bronze or silver in there, because realistically, I'm not going to use this Dawkins anyways, ever. Like, I never even thought of using him. So now he's at the end of my bench. And even though he's not a bronze or a silver, it's more efficient cost-wise just to use this card rather than pay to, you know, have a bronze or a silver in the lineup. The next most important thing before you start a game is to make sure you have this Nets playbook. There is this one play in that playbook that will make all of these challenges super easy, and I'm going to show you that right now. So we're going to do this Miami Heat Challenge 3. It's on All-Star difficulty. So it's not like pro or rookie, so you won't be able to just kind of chuck up threes and make every single shot. But it'll be a little more of a challenge. It still won't be that hard. I didn't even look at the other team. Like, obviously, it's a pretty decent team. It's all diamonds and pink diamonds. But it won't really matter because this play that I'm going to show you, it's no secret. Most people know it, but it's kind of the best way to get this done. So before the game even starts, you're going to press the start or pause button or whatever. You're going to go to your game plan, go to offensive settings, and then you're going to go over to play selection. And then you're going to pick any of these plays. I like to use this give and go play for some reason. And then I go to quick through STS, and then you click that. And then basically, if you want, you can run this pretty much every time, and you're going to score like 90% of the time. You're going to get a dunk or a wide open layup. You can also press Y on Xbox. I think it would be triangle on PlayStation. I haven't played PlayStation in so long, but you can also assign it to a player. So if you want to evolve this Kareem card, you need a bunch of points with him. You'll just assign it to him, and then it'll run through him. So we'll try that. So we assign it to Kareem, so I'm going to show you how that would work now. I also like to turn this adaptive coaching engine off. It's already off for some reason. Normally I have to do it manually, so that's kind of weird, but I like to have that off just so that, you know, especially when you play online, it's always changing stuff, and it's really annoying, so I like to turn that off. All right, so we won the tip-off, so what we're going to do is we're going to pass it to Kareem, and we're going to go to this menu right here, quick through STS. He's going to pass it to Jeremy Lin, and then he's going to cut, and it wasn't open that time. So we're just going to reset it. We're going to go back up here, pass it to Jeremy Lin, and he's cutting to the basket. That actually really wasn't that open, and we missed, of course. Normally this play works 100% of the time, but since I'm recording a video, it has to, you know, not work. And we get dunked on, and we foul him. So I thought I only played terribly when we were doing an online gameplay, but even offline, I'm getting just beat by the computer. So we're going to try that one more time here. We give the ball to Kareem, quick through STS. So you press the bumper on Xbox. I think it's L1 on PlayStation. So then you pass it over there. He's cutting to the basket. That time he got wide open and he dunks it. So the key is you want the guy guarding Kareem to go after the ball once you pass it to the point guard. You can kind of move in a way where it kind of manipulates it so he'll go over there. But more often than not, you'll just get a wide open drive to the basket. All right, so we force a miss. We give it to Kareem. Quick through STS. We did the left bumper, or L1, I believe it is on the PlayStation. It brings up this menu, and then you just go over to quick through STS. You stand where the little dot is. You pass it over there. Kareem's defender goes over there. Kareem goes to the basket, and he puts it home. A lot of you probably know this play, but for those of you who don't, this is definitely the easiest way to score and just make sure you win the game. Another important thing that I want to talk about in this video is you want this game to go by as quickly as possible. So I believe that this game had 4-minute quarters, so that means that in total, there is 16 minutes of game time. So you want this game to be as close to 16 minutes as possible. You want to go over it by as little as possible. So you want to avoid fouling or drawing fouls. If someone's driving to the paint, you know, don't just go after the crazy dunk or the crazy block. Just kind of let them have the basket, especially on the lower difficulty games. You know, do not foul because that's just going to stop the clock. Like, he scored right there, but who really cares? The clock is still running. Once it gets down to within a minute, I believe, of each quarter, the clock stops after a score. And I think it's 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. So you want to kind of hold the ball a little bit more when you get down to that, you know, that much time left, because that way you'll avoid clock stoppages as much as possible. And as you see here, the computer just called a timeout. So I'm just going to click through it as fast as possible, and we're back in the game. Try to avoid calling your own timeouts unless you like really need to for whatever reason. On rookie mode and even pro mode, you can kind of just flop so that they put the ball up. When they're going to the basket, just, oh man, that's what you don't want to do. The computer just fouled them for no reason. But what I was saying was on rookie and pro mode, especially if you want to work on evos and you want to get as many possessions as possible, just flop and then your guy will shoot or go to the basket. See right there, I could have gone for the block with Wilt Chamberlain, but I didn't want to draw the foul. So that's more valuable to me than blocking the shot, because I'm pretty confident I can win this game even if I don't, block that shot. So they're actually locking us down here. They're kind of catching on to the play. So you don't have to do this quick through STS play every time, but it is a great play to use like a lot. You can also, have fun with the game, do some pick and rolls, pull up, do some trail cheese, whatever you want. But just try to make it go by as fast as possible. And then, like I said, as you're playing the game, it can be a bit boring. So focus on, evoing cards and playing with cards that you don't normally use. For example, once this Chamberlain card gets kind of tired, I can bring in this Jermaine O'Neal. Just have him in the game. It's kind of just, a change of pace, something a little bit different. There we go. He's cutting to the basket. We got stuck right there. We'll pass it to Iggy. All right, well, we're kind of stuck right here. We're just going to put it up, and it's good. So there's 8 seconds left in the quarter. I don't want to foul. I don't want to extend this quarter. I'm just going to hold the joystick up so he puts up a contest, and he greens it. And you know what? That's fine. I wish that would have, gone through after the buzzer went off so the quarter would have ended. But that's the key. You just want to get the game over with as soon as possible, on to the next challenge. In summary, basically, once you're in the game, do quick through STS if you are struggling to score. Use some, Evo players and some players you haven't used for a while. Use unlimited contracts. When you're in the game, avoid fouling like Jason Kidd just did there for some reason, because that just stops the clock and you just want to keep the clock running so you can get on to the next challenge. And then at the end of the quarters, especially, make sure you're holding on to the ball. Don't, if you're trying to do it as fast as possible, if you're working on Evoing players, especially on a rookie challenge, even at the end of a quarter, you might still just want to be chucking threes, because it might be more valuable to you to get those Evo requirements done than it is to speed up the process of the game. But just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. You want it to go by as quickly as possible. So we ended up winning the game by 13 points. The computer actually came to play. They kept it pretty close. So like I said, I'll sometimes flop on defense so the computer shoots it right away, and so I can get more possessions to work on evolving players. So as the difficulty gets up, you probably want to do that less and less. I did that quite a few times this game, and then the computer greened it a lot of the time, so they kind of kept the game interesting. But once I stopped doing that and played actual defense, we kind of pulled away. So that's another thing to think about when you're playing these games as well. But yeah, we got the easy win, and we also got 32 points for Kareem towards his evolution requirements, so that's pretty dope. One final thing to note before we end this video here is now is a good time to sell your players, I think. Especially players like these current series players, like gold, 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 bronze, bronze. And this is a free bronze that we got from that locker code. I actually sold it for 1,000 MT. And then even when I did enter in that locker code, I got, 20 or 25 tokens from the wheel. I mean, these golds, I got 2,350 for a gold, 2,150 for a gold. I mean, these are all extra cards that I had. I didn't take them out of my collection. I was just saving them in my auctions already. And then these Evan Turner and Luke Walton cards I had also been saving, and I think they went up in price a little bit. Like that Luke Walton card before, I think it was going for under 2K last time I checked, but I got a little bit above 2K, so that's always good. I hope that video helped you out and gave you a couple ideas when you're trying to, complete these challenges as quickly and as cost efficiently as possible. If you have any questions or other ideas, feel free to comment them below, and hopefully we can all get this free Galaxy Opal James Harden. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Please leave a like if this video helped you. Subscribe if you want to see any more videos in the future, and I'll see you later. Peace out.